Well, hey everybody. It's the third day of July, 2025. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. I got started already, and then I had to reboot. That if I don't do it for I have to do like every couple days when I'm doing these readings, and otherwise, I guess the memory just doesn't return very well or something, and so the video gets kind of stuttery, and so I end up having to reboot the computer. It just makes more sense to do that otherwise, because closing the video program out, it doesn't seem to make any difference. So I have to reboot, and anyway, I did. So hopefully we'll be good, and I can get through this. I've already taken the runes, however. I had just drawn Dagaz, which is the 23rd rune of the Elder Futhark. Dagaz means a new day, and I wanted to keep them rather than starting completely over here. I wanted to keep them because there's an interesting connection between Dagaz and then Conjunctio, the Geomancy rune, where you are well, I mean, it kind of actually looks like Dagaz if you turn it on its side, doesn't it? But the idea of unity and joining, union with other people, collaboration, this may be actually pertinent to the direction we go here with Dagaz. Dagaz can, given the fact that it means a new day, it's literally the end of one phase and the beginning of another. This beginning. Now that could mean a lot of different things. I mean, you could be getting a new job and a promotion, just maybe a new one project's ending and a new one's beginning at work. That'd be one way to see it. On a personal level, you might be getting, maybe you're moving in with somebody, you're starting a relationship, or you're getting married, or maybe you're going to have a child or something. But there's something big that happens with the gauze that now pushes you into a new direction, right? Or a new path opens or something. A new day is dawning, if you will. And to me, that's a very transformative type of experience. I think it's like all options are available. It could be endings and beginnings, awakening, all doors open, that kind of thing. And so it just seems like there's something that's coming for you that may involve something that is collaborative, or if it's on a societal level, because I haven't talked about that. And again, you could be, if this is a work situation or a love life or a personal life situation, there could be, you and your partner, your spouse are going to have a child. For example, so you may find out that somebody's pregnant today or something, you may find that out. So it's this opening this door into something really transformative and new, and brings you together in a way with other people, unites you with other people in a way that, especially if it's about a marriage or a child or something coming into the family, the family gets together and so there's this union of purpose, right? So it could be something, big like that. If it's on a societal level, though, there's a lot of unrest in this country, in the U.S. right now, especially it's possible, if it hasn't already done it, because I don't think everybody's done voting yet, but I went online and it's looking like that bill is going to pass. And if it does, that's going to transform a lot of people's lives into a direction that they're not going to be able to handle. And it's going to be very awful if that happens for a lot of people. And what this country looks like a year from now may not, for all of the concern and unrest and everything that's happening right now with the protests and everything else, we don't know in a year from now what this is going to be, because I guess some of this stuff takes effect next year. So if we look at it from that societal thing, then from that aspect, right, then conjunctio takes on a different meaning, because there, you're already coming together in common purpose right now. And a year from now, what's that going to look like? And will there be more that are coming out together in common purpose? Because you'll find out that a lot of people are going to be in the same boat, a boat that they never thought they would be in, right? And So I think this is going to be one of those readings where I'm going to have to look at it from both perspectives. But the thing is just knowing what this bill has in it, there's no way to even, I mean, it's hard to imagine the loss that people will experience and the insecurity that people will experience. So, we don't know. And so some of that's just going to have to, I don't think I'm going to talk a lot about that side of it. But unfortunately, that seems to be the direction that that the country is now going to go in, and the social safety net that was there for people that really need it is just not. If this thing does pass, which it looks like it will, that it's not gonna be good. So the conjunctio, rather than something collaborative and positive and moving in a new direction, this transformative, well, that's all going to be true, just not in the way we'd like it to be. So let's go ahead and see what the cards have to say. I'll cut the deck, take the lower half. Well, I have one from the Major Arcana, one from the Suit of Cups in the Court, and one from the Suit of Wands. Let's go ahead and do the numerology here. Degas, again, is the 23rd rune. The Wheel of Fortune, which is our major card, is a 10 plus, that comes to 33. That's Christ consciousness there. And then we have another 10 from the 10 of Wands. So we got 43. 43 reduces, 4 and 3 reduces to 7. 7 is about observation. It's about letting things settle out to really understand what you're looking at. And so irrespective of which side of this we're on, whether it's just something personal having to do with work or personal life or something that's very transformative and a new door's opening to something new and all options are on the table and all of that and will likely include some kind of union or joining or with conjunctio, which just means something collaborative really, or something that's just well, on a societal level where you're kind of all in the same boat here and trying just to figure out, well, what do I do now? And you won't be the only one doing that. So, and in a sense, when you're looking at the wheel turning here, the Wheel of Fortune is generally speaking about success and prosperity and all of that. You've got the fixed signs of the zodiac here in each corner. We see the elemental Mercury, sulfur, and salt that creates, the physical reality that we're in and the ability to do these things, actually. But it shows movement and cycles, and we may be moving into the new day that is either going to be something that's lucrative for you, if you're not impacted by what's happening here with this bill that could be passed today, or maybe it already has, I don't know. But it's kind of a cyclical thing, it's like you fulfilled one, now you're moving into another. And so in a sense, the Wheel of Fortune is a really Degas energy type of a card. If you look at the Roman numeral 10 here, the X, and you were to terminate each ends with a line, you'd have Degas. And so now you've come full circle essentially, and now you're beginning again. 10 is literally about endings and beginnings, which so is Degas. So there's an alignment there with that energy. As to what that's going to be, again, it could be something with your job. Maybe you're going to take a new one. Maybe you're finishing college, for example, or an apprenticeship program, and you've been hired. So now you're into a new phase of your life where you've gotten the skills you need and you're going to move into something better. Maybe be able to apply those skills. You could get a promotion at work, which moves you into another place, or it could be something as simple as you're at work and you finished one project, now you're moving into another one, and where that takes everybody, who knows? And it's going to be collaborative with conjunctios. It could be something like that. It could also be moving into, if you want to have children and you haven't done that yet, you could have maybe amassed enough material security for yourself. Maybe you've bought a home and you've got a savings account going, and you are ready now to add more people to your family, essentially. And so you decide to have a child. And so that opens the door to something new and exciting, especially if you plan to have more than just one. You're into that childbearing phase of life, essentially, right? With the Queen of Cups, though, you're going to look, here's the Queen. She's very quiet. She's very reflective. You see her undines here on her throne. She's sitting right at the water's edge. She's holding a very large, ornate chalice there. Amphora, I believe they're called. She's got a lovely crown on her head. And I love this card because you see her cape or cloak, looks like it's got a pattern of river rock on it, and so it seems to merge with the rock here on the sand below. And again, she's right on the water's edge, which sort of indicates being very reflective. She's loving, she's kind, she's generous. If she's a little out of balance or ill-dignified, she might be somebody who's given to meddling or kind of sticking her nose where it doesn't belong, or trying to, insert herself into things that really she shouldn't. So, I mean, there could be issues with boundaries with her. The King is King of Cups is very similar. He can be very passive-aggressive. If they're not in balance, but when they are, they're both very kind and loving people, and they care about the people that are in their kingdom. They care about what's happening with them, and that they're safe and secure, and so there's a lot of empathy and generosity of spirit about them. And so in terms of the you can look at her in terms of reflecting on the things that you want, the things you already have. You can look at her as somebody who is very much the observer, and with the 7 numerology for the overall reading, I think that staying in balance and keeping but having it more heavily weighted onto the kindness and empathetic side of things, especially if things become difficult, if this new day is actually going to cause a lot of grief and consternation and worry in your life. Maybe having someone in your life like the Queen that you can go and talk to and get some advice from. Maybe that's what she represents, because usually the cards of the court either represent the individual that's on the card, so a woman in authority, for example, with the Queen, or it could be the qualities that they possess. And so staying so maintaining as strong emotional balance as you can, offering that type of support and love for other people, especially if things become difficult, if that's what this is talking about. That could be that, or as the wheel is turning and the new day is dawning, and all options are there, maybe there are new opportunities that talking to somebody in authority, a woman in authority, she may be able to give you a perspective that could be valuable. So we could look at her that way as well. But then, of course, we have another Degas type shape here, although it's skewed. We had this, when did we have this the last time? That's the Page of Wands. I don't remember when we had this, but we did. And maybe I wrote this down wrong. I have a little post-it on my screen here that I write all the readings down on. But the idea behind the Ten of Wands, most of the time people look at it in terms of carrying a heavy burden. Things are maybe not as balanced as you need them to be, but he's trying to do so. And so he has, the bulk of it fanned out up here, and keeping a smaller piece down here. So it's easy to carry. I tend to look at this as the beginning of new opportunities. And there could be a lot of them. It seems to be walking in direction of what appears to be his home. Um, but at the same time, if we look upon this as something that is, whether it's dealing with this bill or not, and whether it's societally or not, that's going, if it's society that will be impacted by it, and you're involved in that, that's in your life, it's just is going to be impacted by it. You could be carrying a heavy burden, trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do now? How am I going to live my life? How will I, with the tariffs and all, with the, how do they keep saying that the originating country pays? I don't understand this. It's an outright lie. And so you're having, maybe you're a small business owner that buys your products from a foreign country that has these tariffs on them. Well, you're the one paying the tariff. You're the one paying the government. So when they say, "Oh, look at all these billions of dollars, that we just got, that over the last couple of months with these tariffs, isn't that great? Countries have been paying us." No, no, it's the American people that are paying it. And so you're carrying a heavy burden in this new day, trying to deal with the issues of, just the whole financial issue of it all. But then if you lose your health care, if you lose, if you lose your health insurance, you lose SNAP benefits. If you're a single mom and you've got maybe your husband's died, or if it's a divorce, maybe he doesn't pay anything like he's supposed to. And so you're trying to make ends meet and keep food on the table for your kids. And so if you use these services because you qualify for it, and it's all taken away, then what do? The burden increases. And so I think this is just interesting that in terms of the design of Degas here, and again, if you were to turn conjunctio on its side, there's a synchronicity there of the new day sort of fostering sort of a unified experience that people may be having, depending on how this plays out for you. If you're not impacted by any of that stuff, well, then this could simply mean that the wheel is turned. Now it's time to move on to something else, whatever that means. Again, maybe at the same job, and it's just a new project y'all are going to be working on, or you could be getting a promotion, or you could be getting a new job, or you've been in school and you're starting a new job based on the skill set you've just acquired through your training, whatever that is. Or a new endeavor in your life, such as having a child, or buying a home, or getting married, or something that's transformative, though. That's part of it. And using the 7 numerology to observe and be very clear on where you stand in all of that, and how you're going to be impacted in all of that, so that you can make the best decisions possible for yourself, and if you have a family, for your family. But and irrespective of whether or not your health insurance and your and some of your food support is going to be taken away, you're still dealing with the cost of everything being so high because of the tariffs. And again, they impact us. The country we buy from doesn't pay them. It's like when I read a really good example of this. Small business owner works out of her house, and I don't know if it's an online thing or what it is, or maybe she just receives stuff there. I don't know, but she paid what she paid for them, and she budgets for that. And then suddenly the UPS guy or the FedEx guy or whoever the shipping person is that brings it to her house hands her a bill for the tariff amount. See, the country of origin didn't pay that. She has to. And now she has to then put that cost onto the prices of things for her goods that she sells, right? She has to increase the price on all of that, which then risks people being able to buy from her. Maybe it's just one of those things where it's, well, I went shopping last night and I didn't buy some things because I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not paying that for that. So the store lost the sale on that, essentially, the money they could have made, because I'm looking at it and making a different choice. Well, you can be sure that in small businesses, this may end them, right? I mean, they may lose their business because of it. I saw yesterday where Del Monte is been in business for, oh gosh, I don't even know how many years, forever. They were in business when I was little. They have canned vegetables and different things, right? Del Monte, and they're filing bankruptcy, and one of the reasons is the tariffs. So they don't want to go through this. So I don't know what that means for the company, if it'll get purchased by somebody, acquired by somebody else, or if they're just going to go out of business, or what this means. It didn't say, but they're seeking bankruptcy relief from this. So the chaos that's caused, the uncertainty of the new day, that and alone can be very transformative, because you have to figure things out. Your whole life may be upended in a situation like that. And so what you can do now to try to anticipate different things, the better off you're going to be. But there's going to be some people that, and a lot of them, I'm sure, where no matter what you want to anticipate, it isn't going to matter. It's just not going to matter. The money's there or it's not, right, to live. It's there or it's not to go see a doctor. You either have insurance or you don't. And if you don't, well, what then? What do you do then? See? So it's the uncertain. So there's a level of uncertainty here, and to see the 10 on both ends here, the idea of endings and beginnings, and the idea with Degas of endings and beginnings. And with conjunctio about the idea of union and joining. There's this feeling of this new day that's dawning. We're all going to be in the same boat in some way. Maybe not with everything, but everyone will be affected in some way. When the nursing homes close and you've got a loved one there, you got a parent there. Where is the parent going to go if not to your house? And you don't have the medical skills, right? You don't know how to take care of this person. Maybe they're on, stuff, right? And you don't have the ability. You have to go to work. You've got kids. Both of you got to work. Where is the care going to come from? So where do they go when the nursing homes close? So there's going to be a lot of things on a lot of people's minds here should this bill pass, and like I say, it may have already done so since I've been talking here, but I hope something happens, because this is not fair to people. This is not fair to pull the rug out from people this way, who have no other way of doing things, literally no other way of doing things. The parents with a disabled child that has to have this. People are freaking out, and I don't blame them. We're just kind of sitting here going, oh, this is going to be interesting. What now? What's next? Right? And so I think that irrespective of how this hits you, even if this, is not about that, and it's about a new day is dawning, and you have got a lot of opportunities to look at if you want to look at the 10 that way. But again, most of the time, especially with what's happening here, I think I'm going to interpret this as carrying a heavy burden. And the fact that his head is down, I used to always call that trusting the process. He knows his way home. He doesn't have to look. And he's just carrying all this stuff to say, look what I did today. Look at all the new clients I got today. And I would love to be able to do that. And maybe that does work for you. Maybe that does resonate for some of you that are watching this video here today and listening to the reading. Maybe that is what this is. And so it's you're trusting the process. You're trusting the way home, and you're going. You don't have to look, right? Because you've got all this wonderful news to tell your family about. Whether it's that or this impending stuff that could be happening. You're carrying a heavy load. And maybe that's going to turn out to be very lucrative. especially with the Wheel of Fortune here. But to me, I think the wheel here is whatever fortune you had before could now be, you know, kind of affected here. Whatever material security you might have had before could be affected here. And it's going to take coming together with others in a very supportive way to try to help out if you can, to give advice if you can, to give that kind of support if you can to somebody else that could be struggling at some point here in the next year or less. I'm not sure. I know that not everything happens at the same rate in these bills because they throw everything into these bills. You know, it's not just like one thing that they're voting on. It's a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so the timetables may be different for them. And so I don't know. But it was almost 1,000 pages of a bill. So I have no idea what's in it other than the highlights that are terrifying, right? So again, when I do a short write-up on the blog over at Stepping Aside, I'm going to kind of look at this from both standpoints, and we'll just see. You know, you can decide how it resonates the best for you, but remember that if this is going into an area of austerity that's undoable, that's untenable, you're going to need support from other people that are in the same boat, and advice from people that might be able to help steer you in a positive direction, if at all possible. But for some people, there's just not going to be that. And that's where the Queen of Cups, you know, embodying that type of, you know, generosity of spirit and loving nature and supportive nature will be important going forward for everyone. So interesting reading. The synchronicities with the gauze and the idea of endings and beginnings and what all that's going to look like, you know, depending on how this resonates for you. Because for some people, you know, what they have may remain intact, and you know, they're not going to see the kind of impact that other people in our country will see. But again, you know, you may be somebody who can offer advice to people, and just have some supportive guidance for them, in a way that's compassionate and loving, and you know, coming together in some kind of unity and love with one another. So anyhow, I think that's it. I don't know what else I can say about this. I almost wished I hadn't looked at the news before I started this, and I wouldn't have that in my head. But I just think that I think that the runes basically give us the blueprint for the new day, and the collaborative and unity of purpose and all of those keywords I think are going to be valuable going forward. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and check out the blog over there at Stepping Aside. The web address is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on the more below the video, just down below it, and a box will open and it'll be right up there at the top. You can scroll down to the bottom. You'll see there's the link to the Substack, and then there's links to everywhere I am on social media. Why do I go on that? But anyway, thanks for watching, and enjoy your 4th. I don't think that I think some areas around here we're not supposed to be doing fireworks, but I think some areas, some cities have just said, oh well, just be careful. It's like fire season, and I mean, we've had umpteen fires all around us here, and that's kind of rare. I mean, it's kind of rare for it to be so close, you know, within the city limits, essentially, or just on the outskirts of it, and you can see a borate bomber dropping the red stuff, you know, the borate on the fire. That doesn't happen this close in. I mean, it happens out, but never this close in. I've never seen that, and I've lived here for, 44 years or something like that, and I've never seen that happen. So you can tell, you know, the area here is really dry, and because it's a high desert, and a lot of wind, and so the fires can get out of control very, very easily. So I hope nobody does anything, like put off their own fireworks display like you see so much happening around here. Private people do that. They have the big one in town and at the fairgrounds, and then other people are doing it. And I hope nobody does that this year. And the pets can't handle it, and we can't handle any more fires this close. So anyhow, so I hope that you come together with friends and family over the 4th and have an enjoyable time. So, and come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.